Most people believe that pruning a fruit tree is an optional act of maintenance, a bit of cosmetic tidying up to be done if you have the time, a chore for a sunny afternoon in spring when the mood strikes. That belief, a fundamental misunderstanding of tree biology passed down through generations of well-meaning but incomplete advice from gardening shows, internet forums, and books that treat orcharding as a hobby rather than a system, is why their trees are full of leaves but not fruit, why their branches break under the weight of snow, and why their harvest is a fraction of what it could be. They see late winter as a dead season, a time to stay indoors and look at seed catalogs, but they are wrong. Late winter is not a pause. It is the single most critical window of opportunity to program your trees for a double harvest, and there are 9 specific fruit trees that you must prune now in the cold, dormant heart of the season, or you will forfeit the abundance of the coming year. I've seen this mistake hundreds of times, not just in my neighbors' yards, but in my own when I was starting out. I used to think pruning was just about making the tree look nice. I was wrong. This is not about aesthetics. It is a system of harvest engineering, a strategic intervention that redirects the tree's energy from wood production to fruit production. The system is composed of 3 distinct protocols for 3 different groups of trees, each with its own biological logic, each requiring a different level of intervention. First, the pome fruits, apples, pears, and quinces, which require a structural pruning to build a strong, productive framework for decades of heavy bearing. Second, the soft stone fruits, peaches, nectarines, and apricots, which demand an aggressive, regenerative pruning to stimulate the growth of new, fruit-bearing wood each year. Third, the hard stone fruits, plums, damsons, and cherries, which need a more delicate, conservative touch to maintain their health and vigor without compromising their natural form. Let's begin with the pome fruits, the foundational assets of any temperate climate orchard. Apples, pears, and quinces. In late January or February, when the tree is in its deepest dormancy, you perform a structural reset. This is not just trimming, it is architectural engineering, and it has consequences that last for the life of the tree. You remove any dead, diseased, or crossing branches, creating a clean, open structure that allows for air circulation and light penetration, which is the first line of defense against fungal diseases like scab and mildew. Then you make a critical decision. You choose a central leader and establish a pyramid shape, not the open-centered goblet that is so often recommended in modern superficial gardening guides. The pyramid is a stronger, more resilient form, its short, sturdy branches capable of holding a heavy crop without breaking, a lesson learned through centuries of orchard management in climates where snow and ice are real threats. You are not just cutting branches, you are building a load-bearing structure, a permanent framework for decades of production. If you fail to do this, your tree will grow into a tangled mess of weak, unproductive wood, its energy wasted on leaves and branches that will never bear a significant crop, a living monument to a missed opportunity. In the first week after pruning, the tree's hormonal system registers the cuts and begins to redirect resources to the remaining buds, a cascade of biological responses that you have triggered with a few strategic cuts. By March, as the sop begins to rise, those buds swell with a concentrated energy that would have been diluted across twice as many branches. By May, you will see the fruit set, larger and more numerous than in previous years, a direct result of your intervention in February. Now let's address the soft stone fruits, peaches, nectarines, and apricots. These trees operate on a different biological principle. They fruit on new wood, on the growth from the previous year, which means last year's branches are this year's harvest. This means your pruning strategy must be aggressive, even brutal, a concept that is deeply counterintuitive to the gentle gardener who has been taught to treat plants with kid gloves. This is the moment when most people freeze, pruners in hand, staring at a healthy 1-year-old branch, wondering if they're about to ruin the entire year. The voice in your head, the one trained by decades of be gentle gardening advice, is screaming at you to stop. I know that voice. The first time I did this, I hesitated for a full 10 minutes. But the opposite is true. If you do not prune them hard, you are condemning them to a slow decline, with fruit production moving further and further out on the ends of long, weak branches, the fruit itself small, poorly colored, and tasteless, a sad parody of what a peach should be. This is not about being gentle, it is about understanding the tree's biology and giving it the radical reset it needs to be productive. You are not just pruning, you are signaling to the tree that it must renew itself, that its survival depends on a new burst of growth. This aggressive cut prevents the tree from becoming a sprawling, unproductive mass of old wood, and instead keeps it in a constant state of youthful vigor, a perpetual fruit-producing machine. What you are doing is not destruction, it is renewal, a forced rejuvenation that the tree cannot achieve on its own. Finally, we have the hard stone fruits, plums, damsons, and cherries. These trees require a more nuanced, a lighter touch, a surgeon's precision rather than a butcher's swing. Plums and damsons are pruned to remove congestion, to open up the center of the tree to light and air, but not with the same severity as peaches. Cherries are the exception. They are pruned very little, only to remove dead or damaged wood, because they are susceptible to diseases that can enter through pruning wounds. For these trees, pruning is more about maintaining health and preventing problems than it is about stimulating growth. It is a subtle, conservative intervention, a recognition that not all trees respond to the same stimuli, that each species has its own unique language, its own set of rules, and that your job is to listen and respond accordingly. This entire system is governed by a set of non-negotiable principles. First, timing is everything. This is a late winter operation, to be performed when the tree is fully dormant but before the sap begins to rise, a window of opportunity that is only a few weeks long, and if you miss it, you have missed the entire year. Second, temperature is a hard limit. Never prune when the temperature is below 20 degrees Fahrenheit or -7 degrees Celsius, as this can cause the wood to crock and die back, creating entry points for disease that will haunt you for years. Third, every cut is a wound. All significant cuts must be painted with a tree sealant to prevent the entry of disease, a simple act of hygiene that can save the life of your tree. And this system is not limited by geography. This isn't a warm climate trick. It works in cold zones, mild zones, and everything in between, from USDA Zone 4 to Zone 9, because it's not about weather, it's about timing. Whether you live in Zone 5, 7B, or 9, the principle is the same. You are not waiting for spring, you are redirecting the tree's energy before it wakes up. This is a fundamental shift in perspective. You are no longer a passive observer, hoping for a good crop, crossing your fingers and praying for good weather. You are a harvest engineer, a systems operator, a homesteader who understands that abundance is not a matter of luck, but of design. You are not just pruning a tree, you are building a permanent, productive asset, a living machine that will provide you with food for decades to come. In year 1, you will see larger, cleaner fruit, a direct result of the tree's energy being concentrated into fewer, better quality fruits. In year 2, the tree's shape will be transformed, its structure optimized for production, making it easier to spray, net, and harvest. By year 3, the doubled harvest will be your new baseline, the direct result of your strategic intervention in the dead of winter, a testament to the power of working with, not against, the cycles of nature. But the consequences extend far beyond 3 years. In year 5, your pruned apple tree will be producing 3 times the fruit of an unpruned tree of the same age, while the unpruned tree will be struggling with disease and structural weakness. In year 10, your tree will still be manageable, still be productive, while the unpruned tree will be a tangled mess, requiring radical surgery just to save it. In year 20, your tree will be a generational asset, a productive machine that your children can inherit, while the unpruned tree will likely be dead or dying, a victim of neglect disguised as kindness. Let's put this in perspective with a single tree in your backyard. Imagine a mature pruned apple tree. In a good year, that tree can produce 200 to 300 pounds of fruit. At the farmer's market, you'd pay $2 to $3 per pound for organic apples, which means that one tree is generating $400 to $900 worth of food year after year. Now, picture your neighbor's unpruned tree. It might produce 50 to 100 pounds of smaller, scabbier fruit, worth maybe $100 to $200 if you can even use it all. Over a 20-year lifespan, that single act of pruning in February creates a difference of $6,000 to $14,000 per tree. This is not a hobby. This is an investment, a high-return, low-risk investment in your food security and your financial independence. Imagine it is July, and your neighbor's unpruned apple tree is a mass of green leaves with a few small, scabby apples hidden in the interior, a disappointing return on a decade of growth. Your tree, however, is a picture of controlled abundance, its branches laden with large, perfect fruit, easily accessible for picking, a testament to your foresight in February. Imagine it is September and you are filling your pantry with jars of preserves, your freezer with bags of fruit, your winter food security guaranteed, while your neighbor is buying imported fruit from the supermarket, a victim of the conventional wisdom that told them to wait. This is the power of late winter pruning, of understanding that the harvest is not made in the summer, but in the cold, quiet days of February. This is what it means to be a real orchardist, not a hobbyist who hopes for the best, but a systems operator who designs for abundance. This is what real self-sufficiency looks like, not a bigger orchard, but a smarter one. It is about understanding the systems of nature so you can intervene at the point of maximum leverage, creating a cascade of positive effects that ripple through the entire year and across decades. This is how you break free from the tyranny of chance, the tyranny of the supermarket, and the tyranny of conventional thinking, and take control of your food supply. This is how you build a legacy, a productive landscape that will feed you, your children, and your grandchildren, all from a few strategic cuts made in the dead of winter.